What's popping, y'all? I cannot believe that this finally happened. This guy, Myron Gaines, actually got Get Back on the podcast that tried to humiliate him. So Akaash Singh, one of two, or initially it was these two guys, him and Andrew Schultz, comedians, they ran this podcast, Flagrant, and it's official that Akaash is gone from the podcast.
We got to address the elephant in the room, no pun intended, okay? As I'm sure you guys are aware, our boy Akaash, he really went through it earlier this year, showed amazing resilience and, you know, selling out Radio City recently, setting records in Toronto, just crushing stand-up around the globe, and literally just like living the dreams that he would tell me about at 2 a.m. when we're eating egg sandwiches at Veselka. So it's been amazing to see, but the experience has put things in perspective for him. And he's made the decision to focus all of his energy on stand-up. He is going to be stepping away from the pod. It is bittersweet. You know, we wish that he did not want to do that. But at the same time, you know, it's very hard not to root for your friend, you know, literally living his dreams. And if he feels he's got to give everything to that, then that's exactly what he's got to do. And we're going to rock with him. We hope you guys continue to rock with him. Go check out the show. We saw the show Radio City. It's phenomenal. You guys should absolutely go check it out. AkaashSingh.com.
So they announced, and this has been brewing for some months, because if you guys don't remember, I'm going to play you guys the clip that started it all, that separated an empire. This was one of the biggest podcasts at a point, like 5-6 years ago. It was one of the biggest podcasts, period. Right now, it's, or even before Akaash left, it was one of the biggest podcasts in general.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
What I find corny is my preference is not my women. Now, I thought it was I'm not dating my women, period, which is the corniest human being outside of a criminal to me, period.
Akaash only dates brown. Akaash has been with one girl in his life who is his wife.
That's my wife. That's an
So
Indian
this
woman.
is like loyal through and through.
Sometimes I get so painfully nostalgic for college. I was popping my and living my best life in these white boy frats.
Okay, I have two whole stories. So one time I met this guy on Tinder and I made the dumb mistake of letting him sleep over, like not really wanting to up. And I like woke up in the morning and like my was a little sore.
Oh my God.
And I remember
you and your husband split finances. And I'm going to be really honest.
I don't.
We don't.
We don't.
We don't.
First of all, that's a red flag. I'm not like, no joke. I love you girls. If you want to work, all for that, whatever. But like any man that doesn't want to have a joint bank account or isn't being transparent with his accounts or has separate accounts, that's a red flag. This is not a two-way street. This is a one-way street. His money is our money and my money is my money. And look, have I only made $600 from content creating?
Wow, it went up $100 from last week.
But that's my money. Okay?
I don't know if you watch The Boys, but I love him on The Boys.
I never watched that show, but like he's on my hall pass list.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Chase Crawford, Jacob Elordi, Austin Butler, and who else?
Do you know why I think I have like a good marriage? I think it's because my husband's never here. Okay, so I've been getting a lot of comments that I'm using my husband for clout, and yeah, that's exactly what it is. No lies were told. I am leveraging the support I have. It's kind of like nepotism.
Wait till you see him. His body goes crazy. His face card always slays, never declines. And it's kind of weird because I'm talking about your husband. I just know that Nav's is like at least 10 inches. What kind of do you watch when you use a
Okay, not gonna lie, I don't watch while using a What? I just think my imagination is vibration enough.
What?
I just think of like my own husband while I'm like doing it.
Wait, that's kind of baller, but I could never do that.
Yeah.
This comment is so gross to me. Excuse my face, I just got a Fraxel, so it looks a little crazy, but it's like, who the are you to talk about when I lost my virginity? I will talk about it because it's my sexuality and it's my story. So sit the down and shut the up. And also, do you think Akaash never touched a woman before he met me? Like, we both up with people, we both were in relationships, and then together we both lost our virginity. So sit the down. Like, just unfollow me. You're so
So a little bit of backstory. This clip was organized and orchestrated by Myron and one of his clippers. And they put this together because Myron has been trying to go after Akaash and Andrew Schultz for years. He's been trying to go after them because he felt that they set him up for an interview, like they were going to give him a softball interview or they were going to be cool with him, and they just like railed on him and tried to make him the butt of the joke. So he saw this opportunity to put this together, and then once it got clipped and posted to this popular page, Dom Lucre, it started spreading everywhere. It created this ripple effect. And then it was just an avalanche after that. And since late last year, they tried to bring back his wife for a podcast where she explains everything, and that didn't work out too hot. But he was missing for some months, that he wasn't showing up in any of the podcasts. And funny enough, he would come back to do an interview after selling out Radio City Music Hall, which is a big achievement for a comedian, huge achievement. And the way he was moving was hilarious. You could tell that this was bothering him and stressing him. This guy wanted to pretend like he was Kendrick.
Maybe it's a short guy thing, but I really identify with like Kendrick Lamar, where it's like, if we want beef, I'll destroy everything. I'll burn everything down. There's a little part of me that's pre-therapy.
No, we don't want that.
That's like, I don't care about the money. I don't care about whatever. You came at my wife. Let's just burn it all down.
This guy's thinking he's Kendrick. Dog, Kendrick is a winner. You're a loser. This guy, can we be? This guy left his podcast. And the biggest joke that they try to play on that podcast, like, he wants to focus on his stand-up comedy career. What are you talking about? This guy wanted to go off and duck off into a safe space because he couldn't handle internet comments, which is fine, but you've dished it out to everybody. He was talking about the situation that Will Smith went when the slap happened. He's had comments for everybody. And to pretend that he wants to focus on, and this is the thing too, Andrew Schultz is saying like, he's going around the globe. He was in Toronto and, he was just doing Radio City Music Hall. Okay, so he's in one hemisphere. This guy's talking about going around the globe. Come on, dog. What do you mean around the globe? This guy's, I'm not like taking credit away from the guy's career. Like, he can put butts in seats. That seems to be what he's capable of doing. But to pretend that every successful comedian right now doesn't have a podcast is goofy. There's not a single comedian with a successful podcast that's like, you know what? I'm done with this podcasting. I'm just going to start going on the road. What? Dog, most stand-up comedians that don't have a successful podcast, they probably wish they did, because they're like, I can just chill and shoot the ish with the homies and get paid instead of having to go in front of people. Oh man, this is way easier. And doing a stand-up comedy set is a lot harder than just kicking it on the mic, having people on. So that doesn't make sense. He was hurt. He was honestly, I wouldn't even say that his wife told him to quit the podcast. I think that it was his decision, and he feels like he made a sacrifice for his wife. Now, funny enough, I was like, who the hell is interviewing him in this? You know who's interviewing him in this? The girlfriend, wife, whatever, of Colin Kaepernick. Yeah, the one that pushed him into that whole situation, taking that knee, ending his career. We've never heard his voice. I don't think I've ever heard Colin Kaepernick speak, to be honest. And we have not heard from him since. They gave him like a pity Nike deal. And then after that, Jay-Z said, all right, I'm linking up with Roger Goodell. Yeah, we're past that kneeling stuff. That guy served his purpose. Kick him to the curb. Now, Big Dog, Big Hove is in charge now. And don't worry, guys, I'm going to take us to the promised land. And by us, I mean him and his family. Nobody else. We're not involved in that. And later on in this interview, he talks about not wanting fame and feeling a little bit betrayed.
There's a lot of people's voices in your ear, like talking in your ear, like she needs to do this, she needs to do that.
Keep your wife off the internet. Why does your wife have a microphone in her face? Do not allow your wife to start a podcast, bro.
Yes. And then I had to realize, like, she's the one that's actually strong and courageous, and the rest of us are like running and hiding and going dark and blah blah blah. And she's like, no, I know who I am. Go go f yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Were
sorry,
you
I don't-
surprised that some people were telling you that she shouldn't be on social media?
The thing that surprised me is so many people ran and made videos when they have my number or they have we've messaged each other on Instagram, and it's like, yo, you could have just asked me what really is happening. And then I realized this fame thing is a monster, man.
That's right.
And people want that badly.
That's
and they'll
right.
run and talk about you for views, even
That's
if you're
right.
friends. And that's where I'm like, man, I don't want that. I don't want to sacrifice the morality. I didn't get into this to be famous. I thought it was cool at the time. Now it's like, it is what it is. Y'all just want this fame thing more than anything. And I've realized it's addictive, and it can, I think, lure you in before you realize it. You're addicted to it, and you're saying stuff about, like, we're supposed to be really good friends, and you're saying stuff or letting stuff slide. And I'm like, you're not a bad person. You just really want the fame. And you might be kind of broken if you've seen the other side of fame and you've experienced it and you still want it. There's probably something wrong with you.
Ooh.
I don't personally want that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, this guy was on TV shows, and he's talking about, I didn't want fame. Dog, what are you talking? You pursued a career that has fame attached to it. I could understand people in music, because a lot of people in music, and maybe like, yeah, if you're performing arts is a little bit different. But if you're an actor and you said, I don't want fame, the title of actor comes with fame if you succeed at it enough to do it for a living. Music, it's a little bit different, because producers, you could be a producer, you could be an executive producer, you could be a songwriter. So if you really don't want fame, you could fit into these roles. And a lot of people do. Like Louis Bell, who is one of the biggest songwriters, he wrote most of Post Malone's hits and also a producer. That guy could walk down a crowded street in New York City and nobody would know who he is when he's written some of the biggest hits of the past decade. But if you're trying to be on TV and you start a podcast, yeah, you want to be famous. And it's not the fame, because he was famous a year and a half ago, but he wasn't thinking of ditching the podcast then. No, it's when the fame bit him in the behind, which is really just his wife destroying this business. And what he's talking about, he's definitely talking about comments that Andrew Schultz has made and him being the butt of the joke, which is, dog, you are the joke. You're not the butt of the joke. You are the joke. And how could you not be? And he was talking about like, yo, I'm ready to burn this ish down. And that's what it is. This guy is, he's not in love. He worships at the feet of his wife. So if he feels like his wife could be telling him like, hey, look, you can do the podcast, because she's been posting. She's got no problem posting. She's been doing exactly what she's doing before this. Nothing has changed. She could tell him like, hey, Akaash, it's okay. Just keep doing the podcast. And he's like, no, I cannot take that people are making fun of you. I can't do it, so I'm going to quit. It's disrespectful. My co-hosts, they're making snide remarks and jokes about you. You're my wife, and they don't know like the relationship that we had. So this is just, I can't take it. They disrespected you, so I'm going to leave the podcast. I guarantee you that's how this guy's brain works. So it's not even her. Like people are saying, she told him to quit. I don't think she told him to quit. The way that we've seen this guy move, ready to burn down his whole career. Well, he already burned down half of it, which is the podcast. It makes no sense to cancel the podcast, other than he was being bullied he was the punching bag for the podcast audience, and mainly their Reddit, which I want to read a comment or two from their Reddit, because this is a voice. Especially after he quits, people are going to give their most honest thoughts. People might have probably just been joking on him and clowning on him, but didn't really want him to quit. But this one said, damn, end of an era. Say what you will about the Jasleen situation, but the pod isn't what it is today without Akaash. I guess he's big enough now that he doesn't need the pod for his career, but the focus on career reasoning is an obvious spin. All relevant comics today have a pod. It's an easy bag, and it gives you an avenue to come up with material. I've seen Andrew Schultz use podcast bits on stage and just grow your following. Neither Akaash nor Andrew's stand-up careers would be where it is without the pod. I'm not trying to pile on Jasleen, but it's a shame that her actions forced him to do this. Money and career aside, this podcast is as much his creations as Andrew's. Facts. And I can't help but feel that her recent comments about the Flagrant fan base sealed the deal for him to not return. Now, if you're asking like, yo, what the hell comments was she making? Well, the comments that she was making are as follows.
I just want to let you know, like, I know the periphery of Akaash's fan base, which is, I will say, more of the podcast fan base. And I know a lot of people during like our controversy were saying like, oh, it's because of his fans. It's because of his fans. Like his comedy fans are not like that. It's more the podcast fan base that I don't think really resonate with him, because a lot of them are like really racist and right wing. I think like those of them are more like that. But yeah, anyways, I said like those peripheral fans, like they might come at us just because we're brown girls being opinionated and they don't like opinionated women. So then the brown.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Imagine you are hearing this, because she's talking about this. They've got quite a varied fan base, but this is, they don't want to hear two brown girls having an opinion. This is the funniest thing, because like I said, Myron Gaines is quite disliked by a majority of the internet. Like, he's made comments, many different races hate him because they feel like he's made very disrespectful comments towards him. Politics, especially like left, really not even just left wing, anything like center right and leftward, if you want to call it that, they are not too fond of him. So people don't want him to win generally, and they're not jumping to agree with him on things. So if they agreed with this was the cause that united damn near every single human being on earth. That's why it was so nuclear and giga viral, because they're looking at it like, what the hell is it? They're just looking at the evidence. It was just a compilation. That's the thing. It wasn't like Myron talking about them, because Myron was talking about these guys for years and nobody cared. No, it was this compilation of what she said that people saw that and said, yo, that could never be me. Nah, that ain't me. Yo, that's crazy. And it was just a unified front that was the most apolitical, a-religious, just standard person thing you could possibly see and say, yo, this is crazy. That's all it was. And she's trying to spin it into something else when it's not. And if you're their fan base, you're going to get insulted by this, because you're like, what the hell? This chick ruined the podcast, because now this guy's not even on the podcast due to how viral this went. And now we have to get called these insults, which she's just throwing insults. Oh, but the guys that go to the show, they're not like that. How do you know they're not like that? They're probably making comments talking about you right then and there. They're like, yo, I bet she's in the background watching. The hell? You don't know. You haven't met every single person that's shown up to a show, but we're not even going to address what she's talking about or try to argue any of her points, because it's clear she's delusional. She's just spoiled. She didn't make him. I cannot take any responsibility off of Akaash. That guy is a grown man that is incredibly sensitive. And hopefully this should be great material. Every comedy podcast should be clowning this guy for getting bullied, internet bullied off of his own podcast. This guy helped start this podcast, and he's a comedian. This guy's not built for it. He's not built for the game, because let's just take a look at, maybe we got to give more respect to Adam 22, because number one, all that happened was that people played things that his wife was saying online. That's it. And they joked about it. Adam 22's wife was getting cracked by another dude on camera publicly on the internet. And he just takes those comments and keeps it pushing. And he's not even a comedian. I mean, granted, you could say like, yeah, he made money off of it, but Akaash here is sacrificing money because he's quitting the podcast, and he's sacrificing a lot of money. Now, when they put the company together, when they started the podcast, I'm guessing he was on the company, so I'm not too sure how that gets divvied up, but hey, that's something that they're going to have to solve. But yeah, like Adam 22 gets knocked out immediately, can't even put his hands up, and can't even throw a jab, or not, doesn't get knocked out, he quits. But he loses that, and then he gets clowned on that. He's gotten clowned far worse than Akaash ever has. Hell, who else can we think of? Academics has gotten clowned a lot more than Akaash, and he still thugs it out. So Akaash is just every single person has gotten clowned worse than Akaash by their audience. We're not talking about going wide or virality, but him being a comedian, they're the ones that are supposed to take the jokes. Yet he couldn't take jokes from regular people that are typing up comments because those jokes were made at his wife. Maybe he should consider, hey, you were making jokes about other people's wives too. Not because they were other people's wives, but other people's husbands, wives, kids. And I'm not saying he should change his way, but how can you show up to this guy's comedy show and take him serious? You're just like, this guy's trying to crack a joke when he's the joke. He got bullied off. He got cyberbullied. You got to show it's actually the definition of what Tyler, the Creator, was talking about like 14 years ago. He's like, yo, just turn off the screen. Now, he did say it followed him outside and his family. I think it's the whole thing where it's like, yo, your family's seeing you as being the butt of the joke and your friends are letting you do this. But I feel like I'm droning on. I got my point across, which is this has to go in comedy history. Hopefully, like a Dave Chappelle or something clowns this guy. Nah, I don't even think he would even mention him. But hopefully comedians do the right thing and use being Akaash as torching your ship and your empire on behalf, not even on behalf, because you think that's what your wife wants. But yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.